I wanted to speak before I left, touch a little bit more on the parents and expectations in regards to their children. None of us are perfect. Parents, children, we're all human. If you're human, you're not perfect. Newsflash. And I hear of a lot of parents that have expectations of their children, and they try to groom their children at a young age, some parents, to do and be a certain way, and then when they grow up and they don't meet their expectations, there's a certain level of disappointment. But there has to be a line drawn in regards to that, because at some point in time during those formative years, at some point the parent has to understand that when the light bulb went off, that this person is actually coming into their own as far as developing their own personality and developing their own thoughts and feelings. They're not just a carbon copy of themselves. I mean, at some point they had to have thought of that, I would think. And I had another conversation with a disgruntled parent the other day. It was a form of a mini session. It wasn't a complete hour because I had to cut the conversation short. And unfortunately, I have to do that, people, sometimes. Sometimes when people book a session with me, and it's every now and again, they feel they need to talk. I have no problem cutting a session off and just charging accordingly and just leaving it alone, because it's not all about the money for me. But when it gets to the point where where the conversation's not going anywhere, falling on deaf ears, when it gets to the point where it's escalating, where it gets to the point where it's becoming argumentative, I will terminate the session. No problem with that. And I will not take any more sessions. And this is what happened. Person came to me and wanted to talk about the disappointment in their child, because the child didn't follow in their footsteps as far as what their expectations were. And this parent did the level best they could, giving the child as much as they could and everything else. And the child, went to college, didn't finish college, dropped out, wanted to go in another direction as far as career and everything, that kind of flew in the face of what he was trained to do, and went into another field. Can't keep a job because the jobs that they took was not what he was dreaming to do, and what he wants to do is not in agreement with what the family wants him to do, and it's that kind of conflict, And apparently, the child has not found himself. Now the child is in his late 30s, early 40s, still trying to find himself. And sometimes when you can't find yourself, it gets to the point where the pressure is so bad where you won't keep a job, you won't keep a place to stay. There's substance abuse involved in this case now. His relationships are suffering because of it, because he feels that he can't do what he wants to do. So, I offered solutions like, well, first of all, he's still in the same neighborhood and same town that he was in. So I was like, well, maybe he should consider going to a community, living in an area where there are a lot of people that have the same mindset, that are pursuing the same goals that he's pursuing, and maybe he can go ahead and fulfill his dream. And of course, the parent wasn't hearing that. He went into this big tirade about how they're a close-knit family and they've always been together and nobody leaves the area and blah, 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 that type of thing. You guys know the drill. So that was one roadblock, so I kind of left that alone. And they're just going on and on and on. Now, mind you, this parent is up in age, in the late 60s, early 70s, and has health problems. And this is their only child. So, we kind of went around the gamut and everything, and, it wasn't much speaking on my part. I was just listening about to the level of disappointment, and basically the whole session, 37 minutes out of the whole hour was used, and most of that, I would say about 23 or 24 minutes, was about how the parent did so much for them, and did so much, and did so much, and did so much, and how the other parent didn't do anything because the parent wasn't around and went on and built another family. The parent was the martyr. They were super parent. They did everything right, didn't do anything wrong, and wonderful, blah, 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 blah. And child was spoiled and ungrateful, and I don't understand, never had any problem with the child coming up, and all of a sudden they get grown and they don't do everything I say, da 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 da, you know. So when that was over with, I said, well, gonna have to come to a resolution as to how you're gonna get along with your child, because this is your only child. And you do have health problems. So what's going to happen when your health fails and you need someone to take care of you because you're not married, you don't have a mate? So, I mean, are you going to live with your child if you fall ill? I mean, is your child going to be in charge of your finances when you become incapacitated? As far as your health care and things like that, you know, are you going to have to wind up living with your child? Is your child going to come live with you? You have to think about these things. This parent didn't even think about that. How could you not think about these things? This is what I'm talking about, people. Lack of preparation. Lack of preparation. You are so full of yourself, so full of your disappointment, so disgruntled, so disillusioned, so full of these things that you're not thinking about the practical things that you need to address in your stage in life. You have illnesses that have no cure. You are just taking medications to maintain, life-sustaining medications, and you only have one child. And you have nothing else better to do during your day to talk about how you feel and how you're disappointed in. And you have no plan in place as to what's going to happen when you're on the decline. Now, this is going to be a short one, because I want you guys to ruminate on this, and I want you to tell me in the comments, if you run into people like this, how you deal with it, what your opinion is on this, and what you think the solution to this is. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I was stumped, because when you talk to people like this, it's hard to reach them when they're in this mindset. That's why I had to terminate the session, because I didn't know what to say. I don't have the answers all the time. And I can pick up on energies. And this particular person already had it in their mind that they just wasn't going to listen. I don't even know why they even contacted me. I'm thinking they just wanted someone to be a yes person. And you guys know that I'm not a yes person. I provide counseling based on goal setting. In other words, I'm in a position to provide solutions. I'm in a position where if you contact me in regards to a problem, I'm thinking that you're in the mindset where we're going to get together and we're going to find a solution to a problem. I'm not here to tickle anybody's earlobes. I'm not here to sit here and agree with you and tell you how right you are. I'm here to help you solve a problem. I'm sorry this person wasted their money, but I refunded the rest of the hour. But with that mindset, I can't work with anybody like that, because they're not looking for a solution. They were looking for someone to validate their poor behavior. And I can't do that, people. I can't do that. And for them to come to me, they apparently must have run out of ears to chew, if they're willing to pay someone that they haven't known that long. So you tell me in the comments, have you run into anybody like this? Do you still communicate with them? Are you still trying to communicate with them, or have you just left it alone? Or are you one of the children that has a parent or a relative that's like this? How are you dealing with it? Are you still chasing your dream? Have you fulfilled your dream? Have you pulled yourself away from the fold in order to pursue your dream? Are you a happier and a better person for it? Let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Have a great day.